This is Amy from Temple Seeker and we're off to Chester.
When you come out of Chester train station, you will need to walk for about maybe 15 or 20 minutes, possibly a bit less, but there's also taxis right outside the station if you need them. And what you need to do is head directly straight on out of the station and walk down City Road, and you'll be able to go to either the Rose or Grosvenor Park. And Grosvenor Park is a really fantastic place to start your walking tour of Chester.
So here we are in Grosvenor Park, and this is one of the best examples of a Victorian park in the northwest of England. There's over 20 acres of land here with gorgeous views overlooking the River Dee.
It doesn't look like the rain is going to hold off. So welcome to this fabulous UK weather. It's hot and stuffy, but it's decided to start raining. Anyway, I don't need a coat, I don't need an umbrella. We're ploughing on, walking through Grosvenor Gardens right now, and we're going to find the ruins of an old Norman church and also a Roman amphitheatre.
So here we can see the eastern ruins of the Church of John the Baptist, and this includes the Norman chancel, 14th century Lady Chapel and the two medieval side chapels. It took 200 years to build, reaching completion in the late 13th century, and it used to be more than twice the length that you see here today. Sadly, it was destroyed in the dissolution of the monasteries under Henry VIII. This is the newly built parish church now that we can see on the left, and we're going to cross over towards the amphitheatre. Chester's Roman amphitheatre is the biggest known in Britain, and it could seat around 7,000 spectators. It would have been a really powerful symbol of Roman supremacy on the edge of the empire. Just coming up past Newgate right now. We're going to head down to the River Dee now, which is really popular for boating, lots of tourist boats, some fishing, and it's just generally a really nice place to walk down. What we're going to do is make our way down back to the city walls, and we're going to take it round past Chester Castle. We're just coming up to one of the Chester University buildings, and then we'll head back onto the walls.
So obviously no trip to Chester is complete without doing the wall walk, and we used to come to Chester when we were kids as part of a school history trip, and this is basically why. These walls backdate about 2,000 years ago. So they're Roman walls originally and then developed in medieval times. And these walls are the most complete circuit of walls in the whole of England. In York they tend to break off a little bit, but here they're continuous for 2 miles. And if we keep walking all the way around, we'll end up coming out at Eastgate Clock.
This is Agricola Tower, Chester Castle now.
So you know earlier how I said I don't need an umbrella? I might regret saying that now. Bloody English weather. Get me back to Portugal. We're going to have to switch this up a bit and see where we can go inside until the weather calms down, I think.
To keep me out of the rain, I nipped into the Grosvenor Museum. It's free entrance to this museum, and it's got archaeological items from the Roman period, including coins, pottery, instruments. There's an art gallery in here, and there's a really interesting Roman tombstone collection. These tombstones were found in the 19th century, having been reused in the building of the city walls. Next on the museum recommendations is Sick to Death. Take this journey of medicine through time with gory displays and interactive exhibitions. It's all beautifully housed in St Michael's Church. Next, it's time to head down some of the main streets for shopping and eating in Chester, which are Watergate and Bridge Street. They still have alfresco dining. It's one of the few places in the UK that does. And this whole area is really vibrant and comes to life at night time. So it's important to look here for the old Tudor style buildings, which date back to as early as the 15th century. So the Tudor period includes the Elizabethan era, which is under Elizabeth I, and also the dynasty of the House of Tudor, and that began with the reign of Henry VIII. Now, I've been shown around by my friend Michelle, who's a history teacher, so I hope that my history's correct. I'll have to ask her to correct it if it isn't. Anyway, what you need to do when you get to the rows is go up the steps to the rows, which are the wooden beamed upper galleries. Now, these are lined with shops and cafes overlooking the main streets of Watergate and Bridge Street. Nobody knows why they were built in this way, but what we do know is that they are completely unique to Chester. Here are the steps that you go up to get to the rows. So right now we're going up to Bridge Street Row West and Watergate Row South. And then what's really interesting and exciting is if you go inside, so go from the rows, turn further in, and you'll come to these gorgeous Victorian galleries next. Heading back outside, and one of the little buildings that you really need to look out for in Chester is the three old arches, and this dates back to 1274. It's probably one of the oldest buildings left standing in Chester city centre, because most of the other buildings that were this old have had to be renovated or rebuilt. There's Chester Cross, which was actually used as a pillory, I think by Charles I, who proclaimed a traitor there on the site of it. Here on Northgate Street, you can see some mock Tudor style housing. We're going to head through the newly renovated Coachworks arcade now, which will take us through to the new indoor market in Chester. And this is a really great place to relax, have a drink, have some nice lunch. No visit to Chester, of course, would be complete without a visit to Chester Cathedral. And the oldest parts of Chester Cathedral actually date back to 1093, when the cathedral started out its life as a Benedictine abbey. It was probably used as a place of worship previous to that by the Saxons, and then the Benedictine monks were first to build the church there in a Norman style. Inside the cathedral you can find various art pieces and various tombs of previous Earls of Chester. We're saving the best till last with the gorgeous Eastgate Clock, which is a turret clock built to celebrate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. So I hope you've had a really fantastic tour of Chester with me, and make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next city.